Hi everybody! I decided to go ahead and put this video together. I had filmed it before, but it was way too long. So what I've done is I've sped it up and I'm doing a loop over narration. But I wanted to show you that I started with my Gypsy and used the welding feature and the copy feature to make a shaped card. I hope you can see that. It's a little blurry. Anyway, and then cut out my layers, which you see here. So there's a couple layers, and see how it folds into a card. It's the shape of a camera. You're probably wondering what that silver blob is, but I didn't have any shimmer paper. I wanted the lens to look authentic, you know, or as close as possible to a real lens. So what I did is I had a silver Sharpie marker and I just colored it in, and then see that piece of acetate? I slipped that underneath in between those layers as well to give it a glare like a lens would have. And then of course there's my top layer. So I'm going to go ahead and put that together. When I cut this out, it was very flat, didn't have a lot of dimension, so I just kept thinking to myself, okay, what can I do to give this card a lot of depth and so that it looks, you know, real. So what I'm doing here is I've got my Scotch two-way, and I'm going to adhere that on to my base card. And this pretty much fits into an A2 size envelope. I probably won't put it in an envelope because it's for my husband for Father's Day. And if you read my blog, I'm hoping to accompany it with a real camera. And then I take the acetate, slip that under there. And then at certain angles, you know, in the light, it really does have a glare to it, and it looks like a lens. The buttons, I wanted those to be red, and so I just traced and actually hand cut the piece that you see me gluing on right there. You could cut a whole nother layer, but why waste all that red paper? Then in this hole, which would be the power button, I used a large brad and thought that that would look like an on and off button, and just cut a little piece of red paper that I slipped underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, but since there's a brad there, I want to make sure that it's totally centered. So I know that in the video I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I get this so that the brad is smack in the center? So I decide to do a little finagling and finessing and glue it from the back side first, using my Scotch two-way, which I think I did already. Just tack that down, and it's pretty darn good. They're centered. And then put some more glue so that I can adhere this layer on there. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I guess I was thinking I was going to pop them up, pop that layer up, but then I decided not to. Then just go ahead and glue it flat. Put lots of glue on there. Alright, so positioning that, and see how it still doesn't have a whole lot of dimension? It's starting to, but I'm like, it needs more, it needs more. So got that all glued on there. Then what I decided to do is I wanted the lens to look like it was protruding out some more. So I got out my Stampin' Up! Chalks, and just with the applicator and a little black, just started to shadow the edges to give the illusion that the lens part was really protruding out from the camera. And at first I decided, well, I'll just do it on the side. I used to toll paint and regular decorative paint, and most of the time you would shade on one side and highlight on the other. But in the end, and it might not show on this video, I wind up doing it on the top, and I felt that gave it the most depth, if you will. It was a little bit of a challenge. Then I stamped the sentiment, which is from Stampin' Up's teeny tiny sayings, I think. And I put that on the top And then this inside one is something that I printed out on the computer. And I believe it says, wishing you a picture-perfect Father's Day. I'm going ahead and doing some stitching around the perimeter of the card, because it reminded me, this whole project reminded me of a vintage camera where they used to be leather and everything was stitched. So I thought, okay, perfect, that'll give it depth and it'll look like a vintage camera. And I know my husband would love to start collecting vintage cameras if he got into it. He's so busy with work, it's so hard for him to have a hobby. And I hope that I can pull off getting him a nice camera, because he really deserves it. He's a super great guy. I know some of you guys have said that you can't believe that we're grandparents, but we are. I'm 45 and my husband's 46, and we have a 25-year-old daughter that just had a little baby, her second baby, and she has a 3.5-year-old too. So we kind of got married young and started young. And anyway, back to the card. So this sentiment right here, I stamped it and punched it out with those two stamps that you see from Stampin' Up that are specifically made. They're perfect for sentiments, obviously. Stampin' Up, you know, they know what they're doing, so you buy more stuff. But it is perfect, and I put some brads in there because that's how they would, back in the day, attach things with brads and nails and tacks. So this is the inside of my card and my sentiment that I printed out, and I also rounded the corners. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on, and then I think that's it. Let's see, I think I'm getting to the end of the video. There it is. In the end, I do some stitching later on, but I'll show you that in the picture. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed